In episode number 355 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the return of Who Cares Marvel Zombies.
And we have the end of an era with the Walking Dead comic book wrapping right up in a surprise issue.
And our comic book highlight this week is the Previews catalog.
All of this and so much more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I am your almighty Emperor Pal Kelli.
And I am Psychic Daniel.
Psychic Daniel? Are you like...
I've got an Alakazam, so yes.
That's definitely like a haunter noise, not...
Ah, damn it.
No, wait, whose noise is that? Maybe it's just a Psybeam noise.
It's the Psybeam, yeah, the psychic one.
Perfect. Well, then you're fine. So for those of you joining us for the very first time, the way we format the show is first we're going to start out with some news, ranging from all those things I just mentioned. We're going to have our Patreon shout-outs, so that's all the people who made this show possible. Our comic book highlight this week is the Previews catalog, so you hear all the things Daniel and I are looking forward to or that we think are hilarious. And then finally, at the very end of the show, we have the Brocat block, which is what happened with Daniel and I this week.
Let's kick things off with a block of zombie news. So Marvel Comics is getting right back into the zombie world because of the success of The Deceased, which they took 7 of the top 10 spots for that 1 month. And Marvel Comics has announced the return of Marvel Zombies this October.
But you don't hear anybody saying, oh, they stole it. They just can't do their own thing.
They're copying.
No
one's going to say that.
Marvel Zombies first launched in 2005 by Robert Kirkman, with a sequel following up in 2007. So here we are 12 years later, now saying, oh, maybe we'll just bring it back.
The tagline is, "The dead will walk again." And of course, The Walking Dead ended its comic run this week. So they very quickly put that in there, knowing, oh shit, like I don't know if they knew ahead of time, but it's just a little tagline that they put up on the graphics.
Right.
And it was coming off the news as well that The Walking Dead was finishing up its comic run.
You could argue, okay, Deceased is doing so well, so they decided to jump back on. You could also argue that they're trying to just fill that spot where Walking Dead is going away. It's not original. They were not planning on this. They just decided it last month.
Even the cover looks like something from Deceased.
Yeah.
The artwork has that kind of Matina feel on all of the Marvel zombies that are in there. So I hope it does really well. But it's no coincidence that Deceased has been doing huge numbers that now they're like, well, time to bring up ours. They're forever ping-ponging and copying off of one another. So this is of no surprise to any comic reader.
Do you fear that this will take away sales from Deceased?
No, I think by October, Deceased will be wrapped up. Yeah, it's a mini-series.
Right.
And at that point, they can market it during Halloween, and I'm sure it'll do okay. But no, it's not going to affect Deceased at all.
Perfect.
As you may have heard online all over the place, people that you may know that don't read comics even were coming out of the woodwork because this week's Walking Dead number 193 was the surprise finale to the comic book series.
They previously solicited number 194 and 195, but they were fake solicitations, guys.
Everything you saw in the previous catalog for 194, 195, they don't exist. People were very confused by this because they were saying, oh, they suddenly canceled it. No, this was where they intended to end it, but to throw everyone off, they fake solicited those 2 issues, covers and everything, so that people wouldn't guess that this was going to be the final issue. As a retailer, I was fucking upset.
Yeah.
I was very pissed off. I still am. Because if we had gotten notice that this was going to be the final issue, we would have ordered way higher than what we did. And Walking Dead was made returnable, and that's great and all. Everyone sold out of whatever copies they ordered anyway. But even if they were returnable, we would have ordered, especially because they were returnable, we would have ordered even higher knowing that this was the final issue.
Do you think one of the reasons they purposefully did that was maybe to try and make the comics worth as much as those first few issues.
It's definitely driven up the price on it. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I don't know what the benefit was to anyone other than speculators that are going to turn around and flip it.
Because the guys who released it saved a bunch and now they're selling them on eBay.
Maybe, I don't know. He could have sold way more for Image, for Skybound than for himself. He doesn't need probably that amount of comic money anyway, so it's not a huge thing, but it's kind of an asshole thing for comic retailers or even, I guess, readers. It did bring up that fervor, is that the right word?
Yeah,
that kind of madness from all kinds of people that I'd never seen before ever come into the store.
Of course.
And they'd immediately go to like the section where they see the indie section, and then they look down at the W's, they wouldn't see it, and all kinds of speculators coming out for it, trying to get multiple copies. I was sold out before 11 a.m. Like I opened within an hour. That was it.
Well, the thing that's really shitty for you guys too is they're now blaming you for not having enough.
Yes.
And they're like, well, why didn't you order more?
Yeah, I had an exact customer say that. You guys didn't order enough. We didn't know it was going to be the last one.
Right.
Of course we didn't order enough. It wasn't a... It's not a, well, why didn't you guys just order more? You're right. Why didn't we just order more for the final issue of a comic that we didn't know was going to be the final issue of a book? I had enough copies, obviously, to get to set to for our subs, our readers, people that were actually reading the series. They got their copy. But on Monday night, when they made this known, I'm like, this is nonsense, because it comes out on Wednesday. We get our shipment tomorrow, and that is it. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it was phone calls, emails, and requests trying to get copies of this book. By now, I know my speculators in the area. I have a competitor shop as well that called, and I'm guessing he might have been trying to get copies.
I'm sure.
But it's kind of insane the way this was handled. I'm not happy with it. I know there's second prints coming. A few people do want the second prints, actually. They want with the cover, but the speculators have no interest in the second prints. They want to get the book itself. And it reminds me, of course, of that. Oh, man, I had every excuse under the sun. Like, oh, I just really like the cover and I wanted to get that. Or I really just wanted to read the ending. And it's like, do you have, I really only wanted a reader copy. It's like, okay, well, there's a second printing coming. No. It's pretty weird how people get, like, they think that I'm like Willy Wonka at the end of the movie where I'll say, okay, Charlie, you get the factory. You really wanted to read the book and not sell it on eBay or invest in it.
Cheer up, Charlie.
The book itself was $3.99, $1 extra than it normally is, but it's the size of Last Night on Earth. So they packed extra pages in it. And because of that, all right, I kind of wanted them to get cheesy for the final issue and just do like a $5, $6 charge for the book, which they didn't do, and that's fine. That's not, obviously they weren't interested in how many copies they can sell, because they would have told us that this was going to be the final issue. I don't read The Walking Dead. I didn't get a copy. I didn't care. I just wanted readers that wanted a copy to get theirs. They were satisfied first, and then the speculators ended up getting the couple of shelf copies that did end up hitting the wall.
You know, some people just want to watch the world burn, and apparently that was The Walking Dead guys.
Did you have anyone bring that up to you or even say anything about The Walking Dead ending? Because my brother was saying that even my mom knew about it.
Really?
So it like hit some mainstream something that a lot of people knew about.
I mean, I didn't see anything about it. My Facebook's overrun with Little Mermaid right now and concentration camps.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what year we're living in, but that is what my Facebook is overrun with. Oh, and people posting memes about how you couldn't see memes for that one day when Facebook went down.
Oh, yeah, Facebook and Instagram both went down.
Yeah, so no, nobody's brought this up to me. I mean, I heard about it through you because you came home and you're like, you'll never fucking believe what they did. And you were pissed off about it, and that's the only place that I've heard about it, so.
So it looks like that is the end of an era, at least in the comics. People were getting confused and thinking that the show was ending. And I'm sure there's still people that think because there's a lot that still don't know that The Walking Dead is a comic and was a comic first before the TV show. So to a lot of people, they're like, wow, the show's ending. That's weird. It's no. This comic that the show is based on that's been going on for many years is over, and it's kind of a huge deal. It's been a massive seller for Image, and I don't know what they're going to find to replace that to hopefully match sales, but they're doing pretty well with new number ones with Mark Miller's Miller World, all the Netflix adaptations, so that's all going to help them out as well. But something else that people are upset about is Pokemon.
Ever since the Pokemon Company announced that not all Pokemon will be transferable to Pokemon Sword and Shield, they've had a very vocal fan base. People just saying, I'm never getting any of these games ever again in my whole life.
Being very critical to the company and saying that, well, you can't catch them all. So that's kind of the whole point, is catching them all. I can't get my favorite Pokemon into the game that I might like. And the whole thing is that, yes, you can't transfer every Pokemon over to this one like you have in the past. And there are a few games in the series that you weren't able to do that anyway, but this is the most recent time that has been the case. They call that the National Pokedex because it has all of the old Pokemon. Well, it's gotten so huge with people tweeting every post or underneath every Facebook thing they put up that one of the head developers at Game Freak, Junichi Masuda, had to come out with an official statement to the fan base.
Quote, just like all of you, we are passionate about Pokemon and each and every one of them is very important to us. After so many years of developing the Pokemon video games, this was a very difficult decision for me. I'd like to make one thing clear. Even if a specific Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, that does not mean it will not appear in future games. The world of Pokemon continues to evolve. The Galar region offers new Pokemon to encounter, trainers to battle, and adventures to embark on. We are pouring our hearts into these games, and we hope you will look forward to joining us in this new journey. End quote.
Do you think any of that, do you think he needed to put out a message?
No.
Do you think it was necessary?
No, because people, like, nobody listened to that and went, oh, yeah. Like, the people who were pissed off are, one, probably still going to buy the game.
Yes.
Let's be realistic. Two, just want to complain about something. And three, weren't really going to stop buying Pokemon. Like, they're not convinced by this, that, you know, what they want to see is their favorite Pokemon. And that's all that they want. But that's not going to stop them from buying the game. Especially when they see, oh, well, this favorite Pokemon is in it. Okay, I'll just catch him again.
Plus, it highlights those new Pokemon for a generation of players. And really, that's always how it's been, though. You'd usually have to go through the whole game with your team.
Right.
And then once you defeated the Elite Four, you'd have to do something to be able to trade with your old title. That's when it would unlock these Pokemon for you. But there are over 800 now that they would have to 3D render every single one. And in the times that we are in now, you can't just make sprite art and call it, you know, okay, well, that's done. You got to animate every single one, every single attack, it's insane how much work has to go into it now.
Beyond that now, when you're sitting there, right, and you're trying to pick out a move, or maybe you're like me and you got to run to the bathroom real quick, right? So you leave it on that screen where you have to pick what you're going to battle with. They move within there. They're doing different things. And so, yeah, to animate that for over 800 Pokemon, it would just be, one, a massive game, right? But it would take forever. We would never get this game.
One of the arguments I heard, yeah, that's exactly it, is they should have just delayed it until it was all done and you can get the national decks in there. But I think we might have said it a week or two. There are quotas to meet. They need X amount of Pokemon games, every 5 years. Like every year, it seems like there is one. And not necessarily a main one, but in some capacity there is one. So for them to have to delay this one until who knows when.
Who knows?
But I guarantee you, by the time they are finished rendering these Pokemon, because I know they're going to do all of them, they'll probably then do it for the next installment, Sword and Shield Plus, or whatever they want to call it, or the National Dex Edition. And then that copy of the game is the one you'll have to buy if you want to import your Pokemon from your older titles.
This is such a non-issue for me, and I still don't know that I'm going to get this game. I probably won't, because again, I don't have the energy to play through another Pokemon game. But that was almost kind of the appeal of these games for me, right? So yes, I have a core team that I really enjoy playing with, right? Pikachu and Venusaur and Lapras is always on there, and, sometimes Gyarados. Those are the Pokemon I really enjoy playing with. But when I get into a new game in a new region, while I'm such a Gen 1er and I don't particularly enjoy the new Pokemon, part of the fun is learning about this new world, right? It's learning how to play with these new Pokemon. It's growing attachments to some of them that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise if I was just playing with the team that I've always had.
Mhm.
So yes, I get that you have an emotional attachment to that team, and if you play competitively, then they're set up the way that you want them to. But again, that's part of the journey, discovering this new region with your sword dog and your shield dog and your chancla dog, I don't know, whatever. And so they can just get over themselves, play the game anyway.
I think a lot of people were saying that, I don't ever import my Pokemon
I've
anyway.
never
Like
once.
99% of players, I think, are just happy finishing the game, beating it, and then they trade it in, or they wait for the next Pokemon game. It's kind of like when Call of Duty, when they removed the story mode, they said that 20% of players actually access story mode, and the rest of them go straight online. So that's one of the reasons why they did not include a campaign in the last Call of Duty. It was strictly a multiplayer game. So that's probably very similar to this, where it's like how many users are actually importing their Pokemon after the fact? How much of their fan base is actually doing that?
Really so few. Like I said, I can't even think of a single time when I've played a Pokemon game that I've imported Pokemon from a previous game.
Yeah, I noticed that with you. I definitely did that myself with the old games because I had a perfect IV team, and those are the ones that I would import over and then use when I battled online, which was kind of neat. That's what I like doing, but it's been years since I've actually done that, and it's not something that I am any more interested in. Like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to get it either. I probably won't. So it's just different. If I do end up getting it, I'm not going to be broken up over, man, I can't import my team from way back when so I can play online. No, I just want to discover the new Pokemon, play the games, have fun, enjoy the story, and eventually put it back down and wait for another one.
The world just wants to complain. Can't just leave Pokemon alone.
They need to. And something else on the video game side. A live-action Final Fantasy series in development right now by Square Enix, Sony Pictures Television, and Hive Mind.
The show, I guess we didn't know we needed?
It could be. It could be amazing.
Could be. So while the show will be an original story, it will incorporate elements and characters from the game's 32-year history.
Yeah, if they made it a straight adaptation of a game, probably wouldn't have worked as well. But this is kind of neat where they will have elements in there. Probably the main characters will be original, and then you'll see some of the characters that you've known, through partnerships or cameos or whatever it may be for this series. That way the stars are still, they're giving the story a chance to grow while also enhancing it with what you already know.
We do have a quote here from Hive Mind's Jason F. Brown, who says, quote, "Television is the ideal medium to capture the extraordinary depth, sophisticated themes, and unparalleled imagination of Final Fantasy and its multitude of unique and fully realized characters." End quote.
No release date has been given for this show. Hive Mind is also producing Netflix's The Witcher series, which stars Henry Cavill.
Oh, good for him. So, Final Fantasy, is it going to be animated? It would have to be animated.
This one is live action.
Oh, shit.
It's live action.
How are you going to get, like, Cloud in there live action? And,
yeah, that's going to be
like,
weird.
Sephiroth live action. And I don't even know that they're going to do that. Chocobos.
Yeah, I guess they're going to have crazy gel hair, or it's just going to be very minimal as far as like, oh, he's just a blonde, but he's dressed like Cloud, and that's going to be Cloud.
And
it's going to be rough.
Cloud.
Yeah, because fans are going to want to see them look exactly like the game, so it's going to be a hard one to pull off. But what they did with The Witcher, for example, and this is the same studio, it does look like straight from the video game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, that's also an easier character to pull off from video game to live action, but just from seeing that and seeing Henry Cavill in that outfit and the makeup, I have confidence in at least some of these characters looking like what they do in the games.
We'll see. I'm sure it'll be popular. Hopefully they execute it well. And they seem very positive about their expansive world that they're going to bring to us.
Well, there's more coming to Netflix, too, because they have
Lucifer Season 5?
Oh. No, it does sort of have to do with Lucifer.
Okay, it's fine.
They have optioned DC's Neil Gaiman's Sandman for a live-action show, according to The Hollywood Reporter.
If the theme song is not Mr. Sandman, they've just missed out on an opportunity. So Neil Gaiman and David S. Goyer are on board as executive producers, And Alan Heinberg, who worked on Wonder Woman and Grey's Anatomy, will write and serve as showrunner on the series.
I've got confidence behind this. I think it's something that you can explore deeper than a movie as they were trying to do before. Ever since the 90s, there's been attempts to have Sandman as an adaptation, and the most recent one was through New Line, which fell through over the last couple of years. And this is probably just the next direction or the next step, kind of a fresh start, and saying, all right, Netflix needs more content with all that they're going to be losing from Disney and Warner Brothers and all these other places that have started their own streaming services. So you have to have content you can't find anywhere else on Netflix.
We have really enjoyed the Sandman series in the past in comic book form. Like you said, it's an incredibly deep world, right? There's a lot that you can do, and given the lineup of Netflix original series, I have a lot of confidence in this. They took over the last 2 seasons of Lucifer. We're getting season 5 eventually. Only 10 episodes, but that's okay. I'm happy in my heart, right? So, yeah, I think this is a good move for them. Maybe we'll see a crossover with Lucifer, please. Fingers crossed. Doubtful. Tom Ellis would have already spilled it on his Twitter if it was going to happen.
Probably. But you were talking about Lucifer. This isn't the only acquisition from Netflix and Gaiman. Lucifer, who Gaiman co-created, they had 2 seasons, right, that they've now produced.
They did the last
for
2
the show.
seasons.
So
they finished season 4. They're working on season 5 now.
I'm wondering if that has anything to do, like maybe Gaiman's working with Netflix a lot closer because they did pick this up, and now we're having that with Sandman.
It's possible. Does he have any more works that we want to see?
He's had a lot of children's books, especially recently.
Nope.
I think Stardust was also a Gaiman book, and that one was adapted as a movie by Michelle Pfeiffer a couple of years back. I think about 10 years ago. So that's another Gaiman book.
I think that movie is on Netflix, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It is right now, yeah.
Then yeah, there we go.
Wrapping up on a couple of big pieces of news. But first, I was blocked by Rob Liefeld on Twitter.
You were blocked?
I told him to block me because he had been shitting on DC Comics and the books and the works, and I put out a tweet with the hashtag #BlockMeRobert and a whole thing of like, well, if you're gonna be acting like a clown towards DC, then this is what we're gonna do. And I put up an image of the latest cover of Major X, and I said Rob Liefeld is evidence that practice does not make perfect because he hasn't improved since the 90s, or he doesn't ever practice and he just draws. Like, it's one of those two things. And then, of course, the hashtag #BlockMeRobert, which he did. Well, he seems to have sort of switched over, like, from the comics to the movie side. I know they're different companies, so I understand. But now he's coming forward in support of the Release the Snyder Cut movement.
He sent out a tweet that shows an image of Zack Snyder's previous director cut Blu-rays of Sucker Punch 300, Man of Steel, and Watchmen, along with the following phrase, quote, "Come on, it can't be that hard to just give us the goods here. He's a proven visionary. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut," end quote.
Not someone I want on the camp. He's a goofball, especially on Twitter. But if this helps in any way, fine. Like, he used the actual hashtag, and that's always getting that in front of new eyes and keeping it relevant is, I think, important for the movement.
Well, you know why he tweeted that, right?
What happened?
Because he wants you to be friends with him again.
Oh, okay. So he made a mistake?
He's like, how do I get on? Like, it was an emotional mistake when he blocked you, right? And now he's like, no, we need to be friends again. He's trying.
It's not working. Sorry. But something that did legitimately fuel the Snyder Cut movement was Zack Snyder once again taking to Vero to reveal a look at a younger Darkseid from the history lesson scene with the caption, Uxas.
Did he make you feel funny in your pants?
It made everyone in the Snyder Cut movement. Instantly, we all came, and then when we came through, we're like, all right, now we got to share this and tweet it out to everyone. We had seen this image of Uxas before as an outer image of where Steppenwolf was originally in that history lesson scene, but it's kind of like a far-off image of him. And to anyone not familiar, that's the name he goes by before
Darkseid
he ultimately becomes before he ultimately becomes Darkseid or takes over Apocalypse and is the head of that whole fleet of everything, like all the armies and planets and universes that he's conquered. So this is him trying to take over Earth as opposed to Steppenwolf in Justice League and what we saw in theaters. So he comes out with this Vero image, which looks to be a pre-visual effects look at Uxas. And people were able to take that screenshot and put it and compare it to Steppenwolf's. And they're like, okay, this is exactly that scene, but this is where they went over and reworked it and made it Steppenwolf instead. So now we're getting a clear image. We got a clear image of Darkseid. He doesn't have the armor that we know. He has kind of an interesting... He has the Omega symbol sort of like worked into his chest through burns or marks. I'm not too sure. I think if we saw it in color, it might give us a clearer idea. But then he's also got the eyes that are glowing. Obviously, they've got to be red if they had done it in actual color and fully rendered it. And then behind them, you see the different the ships from Apocalypse.
Apocalyptic
ships? Yeah. And it is, and then he's got his weapon as well, which I think was also different than Steppenwolf's. I don't know if this means that though that particular scene is unfinished then, if the history lesson is unfinished, or if this is just him giving us a clearer look at Darkseid for now, before maybe revealing an even clearer image of him through actual color, which so far everything he's posted has not been in color.
Right. Who knows? I mean, it's all still up in the air. I don't know if we'll ever really receive a clear answer. I feel like we're all still going to be sitting here 15 years from now being like, release a Snyder Cut, right?
You don't think we're getting it?
We might. I don't know. Because you could really go either way, right? Is he releasing more things because it's on its way? Or is he releasing more things because he knows it's never going to happen?
I don't think it's either one of those. I think if it's going to be on its way, then why release any images of Darkseid, especially that one? I think it's him trying to garner more push to actually make some changes and to actually get the cut put out and actually have funding for that version of the movie. So I think that's why he's releasing these things, to just keep the fight going.
How much money does he need for this to happen?
I don't know. No, I don't have no. That's the problem. We don't know exactly. He said that he has,
right.
Yeah, he says it's finished, but there, I think he had said 99% done, so there's a little bit of work still.
And I mean, maybe there's issues with contracts and stuff, right? But I feel like he could really just do a Kickstarter and it would be funded in a day, realistically.
It would be.
Realistically.
I don't know what legality there is to it.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about, contracts, right?
And that's why he had said it's up to Warner Brothers, it's up to them, so he has no control over releasing it.
Listen, Warner Brothers, start a Kickstarter. It will be more than funded in like a day.
Earlier today, the Snyder Cut movement, we got it trending on Twitter. Everyone had to tweet at a certain time around the world to get the hashtag trending, and we did. Like we all had our time zones and when to tweet and all that.
Were you all lending your energy to the spirit bomb?
That's right.
Is that what it was?
And it worked. It was trending everywhere. It was trending in India. It was trending in Australia, like worldwide. It was doing extremely well, and it's still trending right now.
Nerds.
It's just neat because I think the last time we tried this, it didn't quite take off, but this was more organized this time, and it's done really well. And obviously with Zack Snyder putting out images of Darkseid, that helps too.
Was he wearing his skirt, at least in this picture?
You don't see it. Like, it's from the torso up.
I hope he's wearing his skirt. Oh, I see some abs there. You just showed me the picture. He's clearly shirtless.
Yeah.
Clearly, 100%.
Yeah, and he's
probably like...
Like, you see that Omega symbol, like, on his chest right there?
Yeah, it's definitely burned in.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Apocalypse is like 100% fire.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, probably burned. He's probably naked there. We probably would have seen a penis.
I don't know. He does need the skirt, though. Otherwise, it's not Darkseid.
No, his skirt and his knee-high boots.
Let's head into our last bit of news here with what's new on Netflix, our July 2019 highlights.
Of course, guys, this is not the full list. You can go on Google, your favorite search engine, whatever, and type in what's new on Netflix July 2019 and read it there. This is just what we're interested in, what pertains to us.
First one on this list, if you're still coming off the Godzilla high, Cloverfield got added on to Netflix.
No.
Have you seen this one?
Nope.
It's essentially a documentary style or lost footage, kind of like Blair Witch, I guess, would be the most recognizable, but as a monster movie.
Yep.
And they're running around the city. They're trying to avoid the monster and giant monsters, little monsters, all this other stuff. What was brilliant about Cloverfield, though, when it was coming out, is the marketing. There was very little information about what it was. There was a very mysterious trailer when it first showed up in cinema. And then the online websites that were fake started hinting more and more at, oh my God, this is a monster movie. And that's what I think really helped with Cloverfield.
I remember that it was huge when it came out, right? But every trailer that I saw advertised it as a horror movie. And Kelly, not about horror movies. If you guys know nothing about me, no. Me and spooky movies, jump scares, none of that stuff. Can't do that shit. So, yeah, it wasn't for me. It's probably still not for me. Isn't it like an invisible monster, too?
No, I'm not sure which one you're thinking of, but this is one that comes out of the ocean. And I don't remember if it was, I'd have to do some research, but if it fell out of space, because there's like an image in one of them where something falls from the sky at the very end. And they're like, oh, so that's what, maybe that was the monster. And others are saying, no, it's a satellite that fell because of this website that was pointing it out. And that satellite falling is what awoke the monster. It was always in the ocean. There's all kinds of stuff on there, but I'd have to do deeper research on the Cloverfield monster.
Next on the list, we have Lady in the Water, also something that I have not and never will see.
It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
No.
And I think this was the one that did not have a twist. So that was the whole gimmick of,
Is that the twist? There is no twist?
There's no twist.
Stop it. M. Night Shyamalan, stop.
I saw it once, and I remember being okay with it, but it was back when it first released, which was many years ago.
It's just a spooky movie about a lady in the water, right?
Isn't Harry Potter it's all sci-fi. No, I don't remember him being in it. But it's all pretty much sci-fi, and I'll give it a shot again. I'm kind of curious.
Not with me in the room. Sounds spooky.
One that's been compared to, or at least the Joker movie has been compared to this movie, and that is Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, who is also in the Joker movie, and they've described the Joker as being sort of inspired by Taxi Driver in plot and in the look of it. So if you kind of want to get a taste of, and it's kind of weird that Robert's also in that movie, but if you want to get a feel of what might be the tone that's going to be set for Joker, even if you don't, Taxi Driver is worth seeing, but at least once before you die.
I know a lot of you have probably already finished this season, but we do have Stranger Things season 3. It's already released. It's all over my Facebook too. Of people like, I didn't leave my house for 2 days. And I'm
just
like,
binging it.
Right. That's not healthy, but okay.
People can't help it.
No, they gotta see.
Also, Disney's Mary Poppins Returns, which was hailed as the Aquaman killer, and then it did not do as well as they wanted it to.
And then it didn't kill shit.
Aquaman made $1 billion. This one did not.
1 billion.
Another one from Disney was the final animated movie, hand-drawn animated movie for him, and that was Disney's The Princess and the Frog.
There were a lot of things that I really liked about that movie. I feel like I'd have to watch it again, because the only time we really saw it was in theaters, and we had issues in the theater. Like, the sound was wrong, and it was lit half the time, or something weird.
Yeah, I'll give it another go, but it did not do well in theaters, and that's what ended up changing the Rapunzel movie Tangled, which was originally also going to be hand-drawn. This was supposed to be the return.
So good, hand-drawn.
The return of hand-drawn animation. And they immediately switched it to what it is now. And I guess it worked out because Tangled did really well and Princess and the Frog did not. And ever since then, they've had movies like Frozen and Moana that are now under that banner of Disney animation that otherwise would have been hand-drawn.
Yeah, but like, I feel ultimately the story in Tangled and the story in Moana were good. Like, it would have been good whether it was the kind of animation that they did or hand-drawn. I would have rather seen hand-drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, but we also grew up on that.
Right.
Very traditional.
Yeah.
Another good one on this list comes from Tarantino, which is Inglourious Bastards.
It's been so long since I've seen this, but I feel like I really liked it.
Yeah, I think we last saw it also in theaters, and I really enjoyed it too. This is, I think, the one that the villain won an Oscar for.
Yeah.
Chris something, I believe. Christoph Waltz. That's his name.
The
That's
guy
what it
from Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, they talk about that role all the time throughout that whole episode. But his performance is awesome.
I remember we watched that episode of Comedians in Cars with my mom, and I guess she had seen Inglourious Basterds. So my dad likes, war movies, right? Mm-hmm. So they're watching that, and mom's watching it, and she's like, he is not a good man. And I'm like, Mom, that was his character. He's not really a Nazi. Right. He's just a very good actor.
That's how compelling he was, though. Right. Like, he'll forever, it's like when people get typecast because of their performance mm-hmm. and they can never get out of it.
That'll be him.
It worked out for him, though. He was the villain in the last Bond movie, and he did all right. Mm-hmm. Like, he wasn't as strong as some of the other Bond villains or even his other movies.
And the last thing on our list, if anybody is still watching this show, we have Orange is the New Black Season 7.
Yeah, I remember we dropped out of this when they started focusing...
3 or 4.
When they focused on the secondary characters mm-hmm. and tertiary characters even. I think that's when we really were like, yeah, I'm done, because we just didn't care about anyone else.
Well, there were some that I cared about, sure, but I feel like they just started stretching stories so long. Mm-hmm. Like, it almost turned into kind of a soap opera scenario, right? Where we get a little bit of their background in this episode and a little bit of so-and-so's background and a little bit of so-and-so's, right? And it just kind of continued on. I know a lot of people probably still enjoy this show. The first 2 seasons we really, really liked. It was something new and something different. But I feel like they saw that success and decided to stretch everything that they had done rather than make... a really strong, the story that they had meant to tell.
Right.
Like, they're all still in jail. It's been 7 seasons, and they're all still in jail.
Yeah, I'm a little bit curious and would want to maybe jump in just to see where everyone is at this time, but I guess it must be doing well enough. 7 seasons is a lot for a show, and Netflix knows the numbers, so they can decide what to keep, and mm-hmm. it can't be that expensive to film.
No, probably not. They're not paying them that much money.
Well, plus it's all in a facility, and it's just, it looks like it's not a pricey show. If anything, maybe some of the actors that have been on since season 7 are getting contract renewals that are better, and mm-hmm. But then when they get too expensive, you write them out,
right?
Or
right.
They don't want
you're
to
just
do it
like,
anymore.
and now you're out of jail.
So there you go. That is our list of what's new on Netflix. Let's head into our Patreon shout outs for the week.
This week, we have 5 shout-outs. The first one goes out to Alexander, whose Twitter handle is @SwordfishShow. You can also find him at purpleswordfish.com.
Alexander has been going through air conditioning issues, unfortunately, during this very hot period in Florida. I know he's got a more or less temporary fix, so until he saves up and gets a new unit. But, man, those were a rough couple of days for him, and I know one of the nights he only slept 2 hours, and it's rough here in Florida, and it always goes down during the worst time of the year.
Of course, it always happens, and then everybody else's always goes down, right? So then you're waiting forever. But I mean, just some background, right? So we can all really feel for him, because I feel for him because I'm living it, right? But our heat index the last few days has been like 110, and keep in mind this is not a dry heat. It'd be one thing if it was a dry heat, right? This is humid, nasty. Like, I was working indoors all day today, and I was sweating.
Yeah.
Indoors, because the air conditioning just can't keep up. It's so hot outside. So I feel for you. I'm glad you have a temporary fix. That sucks.
Hopefully it lasts long enough to where he can, figure something out that's going to be a more permanent thing and upgrade for him. Next shout out goes out to Lourdes and Katie. And Katie ended up showing me the clip of Godzilla roaring at the same time as his queen.
There's a lady Godzilla?
Mothra.
Who?
Because I had missed it the first time we saw it, but when he roars near the end of the movie, he does it twice, you hear Mothra as well roaring. So it's amazing. Just all the little things that they put in there. I don't know if that's not an Easter egg, but it's just kind of like it establishes that these monsters truly were working together in
as
more
friends.
Ways than friends.
As just as friends.
It's a love story.
How does
I don't know why you're
no,
against a love story.
Because they're different species. You can't. The only time different species works is when it's like Shape of Water.
Only then, right?
Only then. That's fine. Or maybe sometimes aliens. I don't know.
Next shout out goes out to Bobby on Twitter is @CubanSlim.
Bobby judged nationals for the Pokemon TCG trading card game.
It is massive to be able to make it to nationals, not only as a player, but as a judge as well. And the amount of experience he has with Pokemon is more than enough to have him at this event. And he was there. He saw the different merch that they brought. He saw a lot of the players that he recognized because he runs a card, not a card game shop, but a game shop. So board games, cards, and all that. And Pokemon League as well at his store. And he has helped out my store in many events throughout the years as a judge and built that experience and the points and everything too. And whenever I have a Pokemon question, he knows the answer. He's there. And my players recognize him when he comes over and helps out with an event. So it's great. If you go to his Twitter, I thought I saw him put up some images from Pokemon Nationals. So that's once again at Cuban Slim.
Next up, we have Neil, whose Twitter handle is at Inmats68.
Neil went to Las Vegas and took a shot from the Skyfall Lounge of the city. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous Vegas at night especially. You see all the different restaurants and casinos and everything. And he was able to go there and be at the Skyfall Lounge and have that beautiful sight, which you too can see if you go to his Twitter handle at Inmats68. Vegas
is always one of those places that I've kind of wanted to go to, but then I don't really want to go there.
Yeah, it can be tricky. You got to be careful.
Yeah, dangerous. And our last shout out this week goes out to John, whose Twitter handle is at John72Tex. Also on Instagram at Johnny2Chips.
He posted up his Dustin Wynn art book that has arrived at his place along with his personalized sketch of Zatanna.
Good job. Dustin Wynn is, really, you can't get much better than Dustin Wynn.
Right. Yeah, he's a huge Dustin Wynn fan as well, so.
Bigger than me?
He has more original artwork. I don't know.
That just means he has more money. Does Dustin know his name? No, because Dustin knows mine.
He might.
No, I'm going to tweet Dustin right now. I'm going to say, yo, Dustin.
Who's a bigger fan? I want him to tweet back. Who spent more?
Damn it, Dustin.
No, he's an amazing artist and a really nice guy too. But that is our shout outs for this week. If you too would like your shout out every month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimBroke for just $1 a month. That goes out to 25 cents an episode. You too can get your shout out.
But of course, the best thing you can do is reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know what you liked in the show, what you would like to see more of. Let your friends know about us, right? Leave us a comment wherever you choose to listen to us. All those small things go such a long way for our show.
And if you want to help out the show as well, pay a visit to kingdomtshirt.com. Jose is the one who helps us out at the $5 reward tier with the different decals and stickers. So you can check out other designs that are up. And that's, once again, our friend of the show and provider of decals, Jose, kingdomtshirt.com.
Jose, provider of decals. But that does wrap up the bulk of our show. Now for the segment that you get once a month, and it's the coolest segment you're ever going to listen to. It is our preview catalogs highlights. Previews, catalog, highlights. There we go. I just finished my coffee. It's kicking in.
So the previews catalog comes out once a month. They are $3.99 each. Massive, massive book with every comic book, t-shirt, trade, Funko Pop, statue, toy that is coming to your local comic shop 2 to 3 months from now and beyond.
Think about the Toys R Us Christmas catalog, but for comics.
The coolest catalog. That's the coolest version of it.
Right.
And it's really neat because that's how all the stores do their orders. We go page by page and we're like, all right, we should get this, pass on that. And what helps out comic shops especially are the subscribers or readers that go through their catalog as well and pre-order their titles months ahead of time because that makes our numbers that much more accurate. So for example, if they had put The Walking Dead 192 on there as the final issue, people could have seen that and pre-ordered it and we could have ordered more and more accurately. But alas, that's not the case, but we do have our highlights or things that we want to order or that we saw of interest along with the page numbers here.
Typically, Daniel focuses more on the comic book side, right? Different covers, different artists, etc. And I look at the cooler things, which are the merchandise.
So a lot of my picks were obviously from the DC section.
Of course.
But there's a Catwoman number 15 by Stanley Lau, also known as Artgerm, that I think might be his last one. But this is the one with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman that is now going to be hitting comic stores. So that one added onto the list, as well as a new comic series, which we had talked about last week, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. But that's also going to have 2 Artgerm variants, one for Ivy and one with Harleen.
That's awesome. You want to jump over to me? Are we going to go back and forth with this one?
Yeah, go to yours and then I'll do 2 more.
All right. So if you flip the book to the other side, right, that's where we're going to have all the merchandise. On page 9, there's a beautiful statue of Batman, the animated series opening sequence.
Yes, it's the one where he's got the lightning bolt behind him, right?
Yeah, and he's on the buildings and they actually put the lightning bolts behind him.
Super cool.
It's so cool. We got to get it. We have to.
In page 7 and page 9 of the DC section, Batman 181, the facsimile, which we had also covered before, but now it's in your catalog. Now you can pre-order it. This is the first appearance of Poison Ivy, and it's reprinted exactly how it was back in the day, barring the price, of course, on it. But everything else, all the ads, all of the original pages are on there, and you can own the book essentially as it was printed back in the day. I also had the Harleen series that you can also now add to your subscription. This is a 3-issue Black Label book, and there are going to be variants, and of course I ended up subbing to both because really Black Label has been a really strong line.
Next on my list on page 17, we have Monster Zero versus Godzilla. They're 2 different figures and they fit together.
Yeah, the PVC statues, right?
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, we're going to get some of those for the store. And even if you don't have both, they're good standalone statues.
By themselves, absolutely.
On page 12 of the DC catalog, I had the one-shot, Deceased, A Good Day to Die. But the variant is by Mattina. It's a zombified Deathstroke.
Of course.
It looks awesome.
That's so cool. Next on my list, on page 35, there's a statue of Harley and Ivy, and they look very much in love.
From DC Collectibles, right? The final one from the DC section for me was Shazam number 10, which is going to have a Dustin Wynn variant. That's on page 56.
Yes.
And it's all done up in watercolor.
Of
it's
course.
the lightning bolt coming down on. It came out amazing.
That man is so awesome. Next on my list on page 48 and 49, there's a bunch of adorable plushies. So you got a whole bunch of different Batman. You have the Justice League. You have Teen Titans. They also have little bears that are dressed up like Batman and different characters, which are really cool. Also on that page, they have a bunch of metal Batmobiles. So kind of like the Hot Wheel toys that you would get, but all Batmobiles.
It's die-cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw those too. Those were on my list. You said page 49, right?
Yeah.
One of them was the animated series, and I'm going to have to see if we can order them individually or if we have to get one of each. In that case, I'll pass on them, but I'm very tempted on the animated series one, if anything, for Leo to play with. I also ended up showing Treasure Hunting Sonic, these 2, which is the Supersonic PVC statue on page 109 and the Amy Rose also on that same page. And they are $23 each.
That's not bad.
So they're like a neat little PVC statuette. And Supersonic's going to be really popular. I'll probably get extras of that for the store.
Next up on page 50, they have Blind Box, Batman sitting in little Batmobiles, but they look like little kids' toys. Did you see those?
No, I didn't see those.
They're so cute. I'm going to have to show it to you because Leo would love those too. The only problem is they're blind box, right? So you would have to buy probably all of them. Yeah. But they do have a little animated series one also.
In the Marvel section, the reason I added this to my notes is there's a 5-issue miniseries called Spider-Man, and it's written by J.J. Abrams' son, with J.J. helping out with the story. But his kid's, I think, 14 or 15, and he's writing this. A lot of writers went to Twitter and got pissed because they're like, I've been in this industry for this many years. I've never gotten to write Spider-Man. I've been working to try to write Spider-Man. And because you happen to be the son of someone huge, I guess you can just jump right in at the young age of 14 and write a whole Spider-Man comic book. People were very bitter about this.
I'm sure they are. And that's unfortunately going to be a tough lesson for this kid, right? And maybe he genuinely wrote a great Spider-Man story. And that's why he got it. And maybe it is just because he's the son of someone.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody says, oh, hey, J.J. Abrams, like, helped write this. Let's read it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have had a lot of pre-orders on it, but it's Spider-Man. It sells itself.
Of course. Next on my list, on page 52, we have Dragon Ball Z Legos. I mean, they're kind of Legos. They're not really Legos.
I missed that too, man.
Yeah, you can like build your little Dragon Ball Z characters and they look real pixelated and Lego-y, but you know who they are.
That's awesome. It's really neat.
Yeah, it was.
I had the Legion Millennium. It's a 2-issue miniseries, but it's from Brian Michael Bendis. And the reason why it is an important book is for any Legion of Superheroes fans, he is essentially tying in all of the lore of the history of these characters, as well as introducing some new ones in these 2 issues to just kind of get everyone up to speed on these characters who have struggled a bit on kind of being revitalized as a really sellable book. Now, Legion fans they're out there, they're very vocal, and they love these characters. And hopefully this is the 2-issue miniseries that can get these characters back on the spotlight, and hopefully they do well enough to support their own title after.
Next on my list, page 54, you have your Netflix Godzilla statue. Did you see that one?
How much was it? Like 2 something?
I don't remember. I didn't look. I was just like, cool. And then I kept flipping.
I'm going to have to see it. I'm very curious now, but maybe I did. I know there was one that's over $200 and I was like, man.
Is it like as big as me?
It's a massive one. Yeah, it's a big one, but I'm like, all right. But if it's like an action figure, I might get that.
All right. We'll look into it. Is that the end of your list?
Yeah, that's it for my list.
Oh my goodness. I only went like halfway through my list. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So page 60, you got little Pokeballs with a Bulbasaur plush. Did you see that one?
Yeah, but that's one that I think we have to get all of them. That's
a lot. But they're like the interactive Pokeballs, right? So like they pop open or something. I don't remember. There's a spring inside. On 66, you have Hocus Pocus pop vinyls.
Yeah.
Not Vinylmation, pop vinyls, which I don't care about Hocus Pocus, but I know it's ginormous, right? People fucking love that movie. So if you're interested, those are coming out.
Was it just the 3 witches or did it have the zombie? Okay.
No, just the 3 witches.
I don't know if you know, but the zombie is played by a young Doug Jones.
Yes, Doug Jones. I probably knew that. Page 77 is the Dragon Ball Z page, but it's just all the statues that we've seen for forever. It was a light Dragon Ball Z month, and I was very sad.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot, and some of those statues we're going to get for the store because they always do well.
Yeah, because they're awesome.
They're good price. They're good size.
Just Vegeta. We don't need Goku. Just Vegeta. They did have page 78. I think it's like the next page over. Little mini figures, and they have Frieza in hell. He's all wrapped up in a cocoon.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then they had Bulma being a badass. Like, It was pretty cool. On page 93, we have a statue or a figure something of Clueless Godzilla from 64. So the guy in the suit with like the eyes that are just kind of staring into space. And the statue does look like his eyes are staring into space and unfocused. So that one was really cool. Skipping way ahead because we went through all like the nudie statues.
All the anime figures.
Yes. It was funny because there was a bunch of nudie statues and in the middle were 2 Batman statues.
They always do that, like Kirby in the past.
Why is here? Yeah. Or robots.
I think it happens to be that company just had that license for that month. And they're like, well, this is their section. And yes, most of their income is probably, sexy statues. But then they can also produce that one Batman that month.
Perfect.
Or Kirby.
Now, if there was a nudie Batman statue.
Based on Batman Damned?
Yeah. Buy it. Anyway, skipping forward to page 111, they have little Bluetooth speakers. Did you see these? They were so cute.
No, I didn't see these. What were they themed?
They're a bunch of different characters. So you have all the Justice League, but then they have all the Ninja Turtles too. And I want one so bad because Leo loves his music and I could get him the Leonardo Turtle as a Bluetooth speaker and play his Spotify.
That's true.
They're only $20. So you got Ninja Turtles and Justice League and somebody else that I didn't care about, right? Just those 2. We also have on page 112 a bunch of Golden Girls buttons.
Yeah,
They're 99 cents each, but I'm sure you have to purchase all of them.
Yeah, you get the bulk.
Yeah, but they were really cool. So they're just like, little buttons that, I don't know, cheap 99-cent buttons, right?
Sure.
But all their different faces and different quotes and all that kind of stuff. They were really, really cute. page 114, and I actually took a picture of this because I'm going to send it to a bunch of people who I know are going to want it. They have coffee mugs that say Hogwarts alumni and then the crest of whatever house you want. So I could say I'm a Hufflepuff. Oh, now I'm a Hogwarts alumni.
That's really neat. Yeah,
it's really
those will
cool.
do well.
Those are going to do really well, but I also think it's something, like I have a bunch of friends on my Facebook page who are Harry Potter fans, right? They would love this, but they're not going to know that it's a thing, right? So I'm just going to send it to them and be like, listen, I know you live out of state. Find your local comic shop. Tell them you want this, and they'll purchase it for you.
Yeah, anything Harry Potter still does extremely well. Like, I have a lot of people. I have people that work at Universal that come into the store, and people that work at Disney as well. And even though they work at places that have a ton of this product, there's a lot of stuff we get that you can't find at the parks.
Right.
But they're still fans of that thing, so they'll buy it at the comic store as opposed to, online or something.
Harry Potter just, I think, hit that perfect, time in people's lives and just was so perfect that it exploded as it did, right? And it's not just popular in people among, people our age, but even young kids, because their parents are like, oh, this is really cool. Let me read you these stories, right? And so I think for forever, right? For a long ass time, we're going to have people who are still really interested in this product, in this merchandise. And, we got those after all this time, always mugs, and they're so cool. So they really do come up with some really cool stuff.
I want more Snape stuff, though.
Yeah, we need all the Snape stuff.
I do. I don't know if you saw the Harry Potter Pokemon Go thing.
Yes, that came out.
But they based the characters in that off the movie versions as opposed to like the books.
Good.
So you get like Alan Rickman, Snape, and
Handsome
everyone
Snape.
else.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't play, so I don't care.
The owner showed me the app, and what you're doing is the different creatures have leaked into the real world, into the Muggle world. So you're a wizard, and you're using the app to find trolls and fairies and all that, and you're catching them, but you're getting them put away in your wand or whatever.
Right.
So that's what you do. You go around and you see them pop up in the Muggle world, and you can do the same thing as in Pokemon Go, where you hold it up and you'll see the creature out in life. And you earn achievements. You can make different potions and all kinds of items. It's by the exact same makers. It's by Niantic.
I'm sure people are enjoying it. Again, I don't have time.
Yeah.
The last thing that I have on here, if you keep flipping, you end up at page 478. I don't know. The book turns backwards, right?
Yeah,
you got to flip it over. But they had a Gengar hat. I don't know if you saw that one. It was really cool. So it's similar to my Pikachu one where it hangs down long on the sides, right? But it's Gengar. And then they also had socks that were kittens as different foods. So you had a sushi kitten, and you had an avocado kitten, and you had a taco kitten. It was adorable. I lose socks, so I won't ever purchase them. But they were really cute.
I approve of avocado kitten. I'm not a big cat guy, but...
No, but if there was an avocado kitten, you'd be like...
Yeah, I was like, all right.
That's the one.
That's the one. Is that it for your list?
Yeah, it was like a lighter week or lighter month of cool stuff. Like I said, there were only 2 pages of Dragon Ball Z, and I'm just they could make a previews catalog of just Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, and I would be happy.
But that does wrap it up for our news, our previews, our comic highlight, our Patreon shoutouts, and this is the part of the show where it's all about where Papa Kelli and I have been this week. More personal side if you want to get to know the hosts a little bit better. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. But with the Brocat Block, the 2019 Podcast Awards nomination period is now open. So we're trying to go 3 for 3 under Games and Hobbies, and then maybe for the first time under People's Choice, because that's one we haven't been nominated on, but that's literally every podcast that's in the awards show, and they only do 10 from there. But for Games and Hobbies, we're trying to get there again. And because of this nomination period, you have to have listeners, brocats go in, and they'll pick on the podcast that they want to go up for that category. So if you want to help us out, all it takes is an email to register that you're actually, someone and
a
not
real
just
person
a multiple
and not
person.
a robot.
Yeah. And so you go in there, it's going to be podcastawards.com. Click on the blue box that says nominations, and from there, it'll walk you the rest of the way. But once again, we're listed under Games and Hobbies and People's Choice. It goes until July 31st. After July 31st, that's when we'll know if we got nominated. Hopefully, we go 3 for 3. And maybe third time's the charm, right? For actually winning the Podcast Awards. but that's when we then go into the voting process where certain people that opted in to be a voter for the final part of it can then go in and vote for their podcast. So if you are nominating us on the Games and Hobbies and People's Choice, make sure to also check off the box that says, consider me as a voter for when the nomination period is over. So that'll definitely help us out. We'll be reminding you each month. And don't forget, the 31st is the final day for it. Podcastawards.com.
I had some pretty cool news this week. Did you want to start off? Do you have anything big?
I think The Walking Dead was my biggest thing because there was a lot of speculators. There's also the issue of TMNT this month that has the first appearance of a female turtle that comes up at the final page of it. So it's been just speculator corner. I don't know what you call that. Like, it's just they really came out in strength this week. And Marvel does this thing where certain books of theirs have the carnage, like red slime or whatever. They call it the gore, blood, whatever. And it'll be on certain titles. So they're secret variants, but it's like half the pile that you order in. It's ridiculous. And you never know which one it is. And when they first did it on a couple of the issues, people were looking for them. But at this point, they do them so often with Immortal Hulk, for example, this month, that it's like, all right, people aren't really seeking that particular cover. So I think, the main focus was The Walking Dead.
Last week, it's been a week now. Yeah, a week. Got my ear pierced. I know I posted a picture of it on Twitter. But it's something that I've wanted to do for, 10 years now? Like, it's been a long time. And so what I got pierced is called the forward helix on my ear. And I don't really know how to describe it. It's the very front part of your ear, kind of opposite my cartilage. Would that be the best way to describe it?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of there, right up in the front of my ear. Hurt like a bit.
Well, they have to go through cartilage, right?
Right. And I mean, it's a thick part of my ear, right? And I was doing a little research afterwards, right? And it's like one of the most painful places to get pierced. I mean, of course, I would pick that one, right? Because why wouldn't I? But it's like hurts worse than your nipples and hurts worse than like your tongue, hurts worse than your lip, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it hurts. It's still going through the healing process. Obviously, it's only been a week, so it's still pretty swollen. But I love it. It's so cool. And the lady who pierced it was great. I originally wanted to get 3 there. And she's like, look, your anatomy just isn't set up for that. I think you should do 2. I think you're going to be happier with it. Talk me through the whole process. Was just very knowledgeable about everything, which is great because I didn't go to somebody who's just like, yeah, whatever, like I'll do it. And then she even said, like, I can do it in this spot, but then your ear's probably going to reject it and it's going to push the piercing out, right? And then just cause a whole mess of issues. So, yeah, keeping it really clean is a big thing because where it is, it's difficult. I can't see behind it. You have to help me sometimes. And, but it's cool. I feel cool. I'm like, yeah, my job lets me do this now.
Yeah, you put up an image on your Twitter at Kelli, so you can see it there. It does look cool. I'm glad you're really happy with it. And I think you had been talking about getting that for a little while
years.
Too. So
yeah, it's always been like on my Pinterest, right? Forever. But a funny piercing story, right? So I have 2 holes in both my earlobes, right? And I got the second one when I was 16 something. I was because I had it when we met, right? So I was really young when I got it done. And I remember I got it done and my mom's like, you'll never get a job with those. Like, it's so unprofessional, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mom, I can just take it out. Like, the world is changing. So I've almost always had my second hole. And so then I went and got this done to my ear. And my mom's like, yeah, I was thinking about getting the second hole in my ear.
Nice. That's cool.
And I was like, cool, Mom. So it's funny how it comes full circle. So now that's what she wants to get, right? But I mean, she likes that my dad thinks I'm a human pincushion, but he doesn't like tattoos either. So yeah, I did that this week, which was really cool. Also with work. For those of you who have been keeping up with my new job, I'm helping out at a different store for a month. So it's further away, right? It's a brand new store. They have different processes and, of course, different people that I'm working with. And so it's interesting to see that change. One of the things I'm really excited about is how much control the managers have over their store. Because I came from a place where it was very cookie cutter, right? Like, you had these rules that everybody had to follow, and you had tiny differences within there. It's not that way here. Like, yes, how we get the drinks out is the same process, right? But everything within that is really up to the manager and how their workers work with that, right? And so that's really cool to see. But of course, stepping in here, they don't think I can do anything. And they're like, do you know how to pour coffee? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, do you know how to do this? And I was like, yeah, I got it. And then I do it for 5 minutes. And they're like, you're really good at that. I'm like, I get that I've only been here for 2 months, right? But I got it. I got it. It's okay. So that's a little bit frustrating working around that because it's so big and it's beautiful and there's so much space. But I have to walk twice as far to go everywhere. And so I'm very tired. It's exhausting.
Getting your steps in.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And it's a very hot store too. Anyway, it's exciting. I'm still really enjoying my job. I'm now officially trained. Today was the first day I had access to everything because once I got out of training, they were like, oh, it's going to be 48 hours before you can get into everything. And it was a pain in the ass because I had stuff I had to do and I had to sign in as other people and remember their passwords. And no, I have it all now.
Good.
Thankfully. Yeah. So it's really good. I'm still really enjoying it. And just becoming a further coffee addict.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. I'm glad that things are further shaping out for you, and you're really continuing to settle into your new company and new role.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good for our families too, because I'm out at like 4:00 every day.
Right.
You can't beat those hours. Like
no more of this 3 a.m. nonsense or any of that.
No, none of that. And like they're shorter hours, so when our families watch Leo, like. I can be there and I can get him. Leo's settling into his terrible twos.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Throwing a lot of fits, becoming a very strong-willed baby, but he's a very sweet little boy.
He is. Yeah, he's very sweet. He took a long nap today, but at the gym, like we take him to that like baby gym thing, and he wanted to go on one of the like little makeshift rides that they have there, and he wanted to do it again. And I'm like, no, just once, we're all done. And he threw himself on the ground and rolled around and cried. I'm like, yeah, you can keep doing that all you want. But
right. It's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
He'll learn someday.
He did say all done. I don't know if you've noticed that. He's already started saying all done. So today he did it in front of my mom. And she was like, every time you guys bring him, he's got like something new that he says or does.
Right. He's learning. I think one of the big things that we do that's, at least I know that I do it with him, is I always try to make him use his words. So like when he screams at me, I look at him and I say, Leo, I don't understand what that means. You need to tell me, right? You need to use your words. And then I make sure that I'm constantly speaking to him so that he begins, to use words. I know someone who, and it's real easy because as a mom, right? My parents and your parents do it too. We all understand what he means, right? He grunts and I know what it means.
Right.
He makes a motion and I know what it means. I can anticipate his needs. But when you constantly do that, then he doesn't communicate. He doesn't learn that, oh, well, not everybody can just read my mind.
Yeah.
Essentially is what we do. So, once I had seen that in other people, I tried to make it a really big focus for me, because if nobody likes my kid, it's my own fault. It's not my kid's fault.
Exactly.
So that's where we are.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is it for the BroCat block, though. Nothing super eventful, but that's not necessarily not a bad thing,
right? Just, living life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you want your copy of Walking Dead 193, once again, second print's coming on the 31st.
Good luck.
Yeah, or you pay a speculator on eBay and get a first print. But that does do it for us this week. Thanks again for tuning in. If you've already nominated us under podcastawards.com, we really appreciate it. A lot of you came forward immediately on the first day, on July 1st, when they opened it, and went through and said, yep, voted, I'm in, voted, whatever. So hopefully we do go for the third year in a row, which is huge. And I did a bunch of tweets thanking our guests this year so far too, because that's a big part of the podcast's success this year and the content, of course. So I think it'll be, if we do end up winning, it'll be a win for all of us once again. But it might be the first year that we actually win. Hopefully it's the third year, though, that we do get nominated. So if you know anyone that is enjoying the show as well or might enjoy it, let them know about the podcast. Not necessarily a podcast awards, but just let them know about the show. And hopefully they find something today that they enjoyed.
And guys, don't forget to reach out to us on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, at Kelli, spelled with an I, Kelli.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I am Psychic Daniel.
And I am Emperor Kelli.
And BroCat Core. All will be well.